I don't even know the fallout that this can possibly be. I'm almost like, don't tell me anything. La, 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 la. Don't even get me involved anymore at this point.
You're listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, where HIPAA and humor collide to make learning fun. Your delightful hosts are Donna Grindle and David Sims. Relax. HIPAA help is on the way.
Hi, I'm Dee Dee Dunlap from Perkins County Health Services in Grant, Nebraska, and you're listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast.
Thank you for that intro. My name is David Sims with Security First IT and HIPAA for MSPs, and joining me is Donna Grindle of Carden. What's going on, Donna?
Oh, a little of this, little of that. It's February, those doldrums, right before spring hits, in the South anyway.
Yeah.
More or less, some of our listeners, spring is like June. But,
well, for here, 5 days ago it was 80 degrees and now it's 40.
I know, right?
It's all over the place.
Yeah. It was beautiful there for, a day or so.
Yeah. So based on last week's episode, I do have a question for you, is whether or not you ever found any HIPAA compliant bed sheets.
No. No, in fact, we were just shopping for them earlier today to get some bed sheets. We needed some additional ones. And it was like, do we check their HIPAA privacy statement? Do they have a notice of privacy practices to sell sheets? Yeah.
Funny stuff. But I had a question come in this week. A person was asking about a cleaning company and whether or not they needed to be HIPAA compliant and all this kind of stuff. So that might be a good topic for a future episode to dive into that.
Yeah, that one's a tricky one.
Yeah.
That one's a very tricky one because technically, no.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, there's a lot of problems with the amount of
a fact-specific determination.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll kind of leave it at that. But yeah, that was pretty much what my answer was. Is no, not technically. However, there's a lot of things to worry about. Here's a couple of examples of, the cleaning people throwing away stuff they shouldn't have had and plugging in things they shouldn't have had. Yep.
So you gotta have a plan. You gotta work with them. And, I've even had cases where when it comes to those that they hire somebody new and all the things that everybody else that had worked there were used to that says, shredding, not trash, those kind of things. The new person didn't speak English, so that meant nothing to them, and they didn't ask. So anyway,
yep.
I've known many people go dumpster diving simply because of those type of mistakes. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it could be a problem.
It could be.
Yeah. Yes. So you, in our notes here, I guess you want me to sound like Jeff Foxworthy.
Yeah, come on, that was funny.
So I'll do it as you have it in our notes here, in my best Jeff Foxworthy voice. If you spend time every day worrying about the risk using email, you might be a security professional.
There you go. Very good. You did a good one.
How about that?
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about email and why it's still a very, very risky way to communicate, even if you don't realize it. And we're going to dive into what that looks like and your analogy about email.
Well, and I started to add one, but I didn't know how we could deliver it. But the other one was, if you believe email is secure, here's your sign. So there you go. But yes, that is what we want to talk about today, because the littlest thing. It's like
great, awesome. So we'll mention Jeff Foxworthy on Twitter and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So before we dive into this maybe comedic episode, who knows where are you going to be coming up?
Oh, good gosh. All right. So North Georgia AAPC chapter, March the 6th. It's unfortunate I've had to turn down some stuff because of our boot camps and my client commitments. And, it's great to be popular, but I like to do stuff that, I hate it when I have to say no. But I did turn down a few things because of that. We've got March the 6th, then March the 20th, 21st, 22nd is boot camp. And then I'm in the National Conference for the Society of OMS Administrators in Savannah, doing a half-day workshop with them on Sunday, April, the 7th. And then May, what do we have again? What
Another boot
day
camp.
is it?
Boot camp. Oh, I got a little surprise for boot camp.
Yeah?
If I don't forget to bring it, I will be in full ABUs.
Oh, my goodness.
Absolutely.
I can't wait. Just make sure you bring the pants. We can work without the shirt, we've learned. But the pants, those are key. But we also have a surprise where we are pending approval from the Compliance Certification Board for CEUs for the boot camp. Hopefully they will approve us for something.
That'd be awesome.
It's not easy to document us. Yeah, we have to follow a lot more strict rules.
Yeah, then we can say you're a documented worker.
Oh, no, let's don't even go there. Oh, jeez. Well, we know you're undocumented.
Yeah. I'm on a lot of things.
Yeah. So let's talk about email.
Okay, let's talk about it. So give your analogy you have here, because it's pretty funny about the walking across the bridge.
Yeah. Imagine that you're walking along a bridge safely and you feel very comfortable. What you don't realize is that there is a pit just a few inches below the bridge filled with snakes, gators, and poison spikes. And one small mistake, dum da dum dum da.
Yeah.
Because it is. And, I could go further that people are trying to lure you to the side. I always like that cartoon of the alligator trying to get you to come over. The Saturday Night Live shark.
Yeah, so we're probably on a crickety bridge with no sides on it. But email is definitely a problem. And we've talked about this before, whether or not a communication tool is going to overtake email, because we hear about this all the time, right? Everything that comes out new, this is going to kill email and this is going to be the next, best communication tool ever. But as good as they are, they tend to have their own kind of usage, but they don't take the place of email.
I know. And for years I've been watching for that to occur. And email itself was simply built around the concept of the Postal Service email or Postal Service mail system. I mean, you have Post Office POP, Post Office Protocol, and you have address headers and, the from and to and all those kind of things are all based on the original Postal Service email, which I don't know if you know this, people are still using.
The post office?
I know. And there's a reason, that happens. So it's the same thing that's happening every time they come out with this killer email. There's always a reason. There's the price or everybody doesn't adopt it. If I go buy a stamp in Georgia, I can still mail something in Alaska. It's just, it's still a U.S. stamp. And that's one of the big problems because I keep waiting for those, millennials who are the digital age. And, they're constantly communicating. They don't actually use words anymore, just emojis. I get it because it's so much easier a lot of times. So you send a couple of emojis that basically say, yeah, I gotcha. But at the same time is they don't standardize either.
Yeah. Not only that, but they won't stay on a platform very long. They
exactly.
They hop around.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's like, okay, everybody used to be on Facebook until all your parents got on Facebook and your grandparents. Now everybody's on Insta, man. I Insta that. And IG this and all that kind of stuff. But it's still, the latest one. We know eventually they'll move to something else.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I just keep waiting till they get to something that you truly could standardize. And I just don't see it happening. And that's why email is still sitting around, and it is more dangerous now than it's ever been. So in that bridge analogy, think of it this way. The pit is basically the same. Everybody's walking over, an inch above the pit, no matter what kind of email you're using. The only difference is how strong is the bridge.
I like it.
So your IT infrastructure is directly related to the strength and width of the bridge. How far am I from the edges and how stable am I walking across on every single email? But it's definitely something that we hear about every day.
Yeah.
Somebody doing something dangerous in email. So all of us who forget about it, it really is the number one way that the bad guys are going after us.
Yeah, and email is used so often that I think people ignore the dangers. It's almost like when you get in a car and drive. I think people don't really think about, and if they did, they probably would quit driving, but you don't really think about the fact that you are probably about 6 feet away from a head-on collision with every car you pass.
Everything.
And email is kind of the same thing. We use it so frequently, we just kind of ignore the dangers. We don't think about them anymore, just like driving.
Mm-hmm. You just assume you're going to be fine.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. That assumption that somebody isn't coming at me the wrong way down the highway, or the bridge isn't going to collapse because of an earthquake, which was absolutely terrifying to watch for those of us that remember that in the 1989 earthquake in San Francisco. And it's for all of us, an email that comes in should be one that I evaluate, every single one. I should make sure that that's not going to blow up in front of me.
Right.
And a report from Proofpoint recently, which it used to be Wombat, and so they do phishing stuff. There's a long list of them. KnowBe4 and Wombat are probably the two biggest ones that I know of anyway. And they did a report that said that credential sniffing phishing attacks have erupted, according to one analysis of the report. In 2018, things got really, really worse.
Mm-hmm.
And they did this, I think 7,000 different individuals that they were polling and emails that they were following to see just how bad it was. And the first stat that really got my attention was the 9% average failure rate across all phishing campaigns and all industries, which was no change from 2017.
So a whole year later, and things are still just as bad.
Right. So, 10% of your people likely to click. So look around, think about your office, and in smaller offices, you could probably name all 10 of them.
Yeah.
Or at least half of them, or all 10% rather. And it's clearly a big problem, and it's getting worse because we're not making progress.
Yeah. And it only takes that one person clicking on something, then you got a mess.
Well, yeah, the whole Anthem breach was a business associate clicking on a single email. 80 million people. There went somebody ventured over to the side so close.
Alligator got him.
Alligator got him and was able to pull itself up onto the bridge and chomp down everybody. But the snakes were joining. Everybody was following on. But it's one of those classic old school Tarzan that we used to watch on Saturdays. But they also had a lot of great statistics that I was very proud that for once, healthcare was not the worst.
Oh, wow. Congratulations, healthcare.
Yay. I mean, yay. It doesn't mean yay, like we're really making a difference, but we're just not dramatically worse than everybody else, where they have a bar chart, and the healthcare line goes way across the chart. It makes, because of healthcare, the chart has to be wider. We don't have that case. And they broke phishing down into a lot of different scenarios, whether it was aimed at an individual corporation, if it was aimed at businesses in general or consumers, or, download this from the cloud, whatever it was, along with, was it trying to get you to click a link? Was it trying to get you to open an attachment? Or was it trying to get you to actually enter something like, hey, log into this?
Yeah.
And so I don't know how exciting this can be, but healthcare, 8% of the time we click the link, but only 1% would they open the attachment.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
that's great. But when it came to logging in or, doing data entry, 13% would click it. So a dramatic number would click to fill in the information, log in to download this, log in to get this. We just sent you your W-2 via email. Go log in here, any number of things. You get 13% who'll click that, and 6% will still submit it. Yeah, so, but, when you look at it and you see that, the defense industrial base is what they call it, 13% will click the link. So I'm feeling better, but then again, not. Because defense. It's clicking the link.
Yeah. Well, even when you go down to the technology, they're not doing much better. Matter of fact, they're the amount of time that they will actually enter data, click it, enter data is not much different than healthcare.
Yeah, it's more. And, it's more or click it. But, a lot of times in technology, we're going to see what it is and trying to put things in place, but it still doesn't count. You clicked it.
Yeah. Well, the downside, of course, we are now seeing this trend about people attacking the MSPs and trying to get access to the client base of MSPs. And maybe that's a whole episode in and of itself. Yep. But what this spells out for me when I look at it is, yes, you may be in healthcare. However, all these other industries are probably your business associates.
Don't forget.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Don't forget. The good news is, the message has gotten out for the most part, other than entertainment and professional services, to not open attachments.
Yeah. Entertainment at 45% attachment open rate.
Sony, you wonder why.
I mean, they're like way ahead of everybody else.
No, there's only one other double digit, and that is professional services at 14%. But 45 is ridiculous. Anyhow, moving right along. The healthcare, when we look at healthcare, and what they're doing is they're saying, how are they attacked and what things are aimed at them? Malware, credential phishing, keyloggers, corporate credential phishing, rats, which are remote access Trojans, downloaders, banking, they have them all split out. And I found it very interesting that the title of nurse practitioner has things just pointed right at them constantly. I mean, it's like a massive difference between an NP and everybody else. That's what the healthcare chart used to look like. This is just within healthcare, the number one thing, and it's malware and credential phishing, keyloggers, and corporate credential phishing, which is two different things. One is I'm trying to get you to sign into Amazon. The other is I'm trying to get you to sign into your corporate email account. So that's a lot that's really aimed at them. Next comes general inbox. And then you start going down the list. And, the most different color one to me that they pointed out was HR, because they're most likely to get an attachment and need to open it. It's very colorful because all the different colors, every one of them is on there.
Yeah, they get hit with a little bit of everything.
Yes. But it is interesting to see, and we'll put these charts in, but the president and CEO is quite colorful, aimed at them, but that makes sense. But the HR is the way in, and you hear more and more about that all the time.
Yep.
So we know it's the people. They're after the people. They have quit worrying about dodging technology because they know they can trick an individual.
Yeah. What was that you said that I think you saw it somewhere recently that business's number one security concern is people now?
Yeah. And it should be. You know, we talk about it all the time that if you're not worried about the people, and I'm not saying your people are out there plotting against you. They're nice. You know, the reason we're able to get away with so many things when we're testing people is because people are nice. They want to be nice and helpful, and you want them to be when they need to be.
They have to be discerning, nice, and helpful.
Yeah, you know, you got to know who you're giving your information out to, and often you feel like you're helping somebody out or that you're doing the right thing because you are responding to, we need you to fill out this survey to let us know if you've had any security issues. Well, I haven't, so I need to tell them I haven't.
Yeah.
But I did find it interesting in 2018. 65%. So when they ask about the impacts of phishing, when you have a phishing campaign and you're hit with one, they've asked 2016, 2017, 2018, what are the impacts? Is it compromised accounts, malware infections, or actual loss of data where it's wiping it or something? Did you find those numbers interesting how 2018 went boom?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a big jump.
Yeah.
Especially in just 2 years. But I mean, even from last year, it was a big jump.
Yeah. So in 2016, they said 17% of the time it was a compromised account. Then in 2017, 38. And now in 2018, 65.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Interestingly enough, malware, and you could pick multiple ones. You could say you got all three. Malware infections didn't change. And loss of data got worse. So nothing got better in 2018.
Yeah. You could argue that malware got better because it didn't change. It didn't follow the other
It didn't get worse.
Yeah.
But Proofpoint, they put out a lot of interesting stuff. And they also published a new vulnerability that I was fascinated by how it worked, which is, that's not a good thing. But it's just a new way that they're getting you. And that is that it's inside the font. And for those of you who are tech, it's web fonts. So built into this custom web font is software that will run when you are reading a page with this custom web font on it. It was quite interesting. So we'll just get you to click a link and you don't even know things are going on because it's just the words. The words on the page are now dangerous.
Yeah, we've always said words will kill you.
So let's hit some real world examples of things you read about, or in some cases we know about personally, of how tricky they are and how bad things can be. And the first one I wanted to cover was this new one I just saw today.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who go to something because it's really interesting and you go to read it and it says, you can read this story if you sign up for a free account. So they're just gathering email addresses and stuff like that. So you create a free account. And now you have those options to log in with Facebook, log in with Google, log in with LinkedIn. And those are great because now it's one less password I have to worry about. And the authorization is now happening across somebody that's supposed to be secure, at least with a couple of those examples.
Mm-hmm.
We'll leave out which one of the Facebook ones is a problem. But those are great and I love them and I use them all the time. But on every one of those accounts, I have two-factor authentication. What about you, David?
I do on the ones I have, which I don't have many. I mean, probably less than 3. But typically, I'll create a completely separate account and I'll go through the trouble so that I'm not tying things into my Google account.
Right. So, but there's a lot of things that are important things that I tie them to. And I don't use Facebook to sign into anything. And there's only 1 or 2 things that I wanted it connected to LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So the good news is you have that capability. The bad news is now the bad guys have learned how to do something about it, because what they're doing is you go and you get that thing and it says log in and you click the Facebook thing and it looks like the Facebook login page pops right up like you would expect it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you enter it, you are not logging into Facebook. You are logging your information to them. So they are getting your Facebook credentials right then and there. And they're saying, thanks for creating an account. You're logged in. Now we have your Facebook. So if you had, a multi-factor authentication where they text you or they alert you, anybody signs in, then you're going to at least have some protections if you fall for this.
Mm-hmm.
But the article said even advanced people, it looks so good, even advanced people would fall for it.
Yeah.
That one, those are the ones that I don't like. But they're getting harder because we're teaching people the easy stuff.
Yeah, but they have to get harder. I mean, I've even had some emails that were legit. I threw them away. And, a few days later, the person calls, you get my email? I'm like, you talking about the one that looked like spam? I threw that thing in the trash.
Yeah, safe than sorry. Safe than, a lot of people won't let you click a link anymore and you're not allowed.
Yeah.
So
well, what's one thing we're getting away from? Used to, when we had something in our emails, we would hyperlink the text. So it'd be like, click here. And we're moving away from that. We're not doing that anymore. We're now putting the link, the full URL, no matter how nasty looking it is. We put the whole thing in there because we want to train people to pay attention to the URL and not, the words.
Well, and know that just because it says that big long thing, if you click on that link, that's not necessarily where you're going.
No, it's not. You still have to verify. And that's, another reason we put it in there so you can visually look at both and kind of, I want to train people to pay more attention.
Well, I always say copy that link and paste it.
Mm-hmm.
Or right click and say, go to this. And you can do that in some, depending on your browser.
Yep.
So, yes, do that, please. That takes us to the next one. And this, a company that recently did a data breach notification. It's a company called CCRM. It's a large in vitro fertilization clinic with 19 locations across the U.S. and Canada. So we're not talking itty bitty. They should have a very sturdy, wide bridge. That's all I'm saying. Concrete, reinforced concrete. But good news is this problem only happened at their Dallas-Fort Worth location for the people at all the other 18 locations. But they notified over 1,100 patients in November that an email account had been hacked.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what makes this one super special to me. And it's one that I know you're going to need to rant about a little bit. Because it's one of your pet peeves.
Oh, I have many.
This is just one. So the reason they know the account was hacked is they start getting calls from their patients saying, why are you sending me spam? So right away, I'm going to be concerned because clearly patient information's out there if my patients are getting spam from me.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, what's the email address? Why do you think it's from us? And they give you an email address for a nurse who no longer worked there.
Oh, here we go.
There's your termination checklist, David. There you go. At some point, they, had them. And at some point, that nurse fell for a credentialing attack or they could be, this is my favorite personally, is that their name on social media makes it so easy to attach to the email address they probably had at work, and they use the same password, and in some other breach, that password was out there.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, they were fully into that nurse's account. And I can imagine your feeling when this happened, because as soon as their notice that they say to the patients is, the practice immediately contacted its IT vendor to deactivate the account. What do you say to that, David?
I say, why now? It should have been contacted before the person left.
Indeed. Within hours, you should have that email account, at least change the password, something. Right. And so the investigation determined that an intruder could have viewed or accessed patients' names, addresses, email addresses, health information, insurance information, and medical history within the account, and for a limited number of patients, also Social Security and driver's license number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they immediately contacted their IT vendor.
So great of them to immediately do it.
Why not immediately do it when someone leaves?
Exactly. Because they don't have a checklist.
And we've talked about onboarding and offboarding checklist.
Mm-hmm.
Onboarding, termination checklist, and how important they are.
And get your IT vendor involved, because you might have given them access to something you don't realize.
And yeah. Because you should have, between the two of you, a checklist. And your checklist shouldn't say, call David. Your checklist should say, review with IT, and then get the checklist from IT and confirm what they've removed. That's what your checklist should show.
Yeah. Otherwise, you might get a lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine.
Because clearly this would have never happened to those 1,100 people.
Mm-hmm.
And with all that information in there, you can only assume, and we will assume, that was encrypted email account.
Right.
Because if not, we've got a bigger problem. But it again goes back to what we talk about of, I've got encrypted email, I don't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. If it's in your email, it's potentially accessible by others. And
here's another one. I have the information in my footer that says if this email is to the wrong person, just delete it. I'm good.
And David's not kidding. Someone actually said that.
A lawyer.
Because everybody reads those things.
And follows them.
Mm-hmm. So this part of the notice is what drove me nuts, though. I have to say, this did bother me a little, more than a little bit. It, all of the standard that, how important it is and yada, yada, yada. And
we take it seriously. We take it so seriously.
Yeah. And there is no evidence that an unauthorized third party actually viewed or accessed PHI, and we are not aware of anyone's information being misused.
Okay. They got an email.
Yeah. I got spam from you, and that is misuse of my information.
Right.
And now they can do spear phishing and targeted emails to me.
Right.
And you're just lucky, CCRM, that they haven't started calling people and collecting payment for their visits.
Ooh, I got a story about that.
Yeah, you go ahead. Hit it, David.
So we had a client that medical office recently closed. And during the offboarding procedures, they're shutting down a lot of their things, and come to find out, guess what? The doctor used a Yahoo account for years.
Don't you love those?
And I'm like, what do you mean the doctor using the Yahoo account? Since when? Well, since 19 whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, great. Well, shut it down. Well, that's why we're calling you. What do you mean that's why you're calling me? It's not working right for some reason. Now this has been a few weeks ago. Okay. So I go into the Yahoo account, come to find out somebody has compromised the Yahoo account. Somebody has
It's not working.
Somebody's
It's not
sending
working for you.
I know. They're sending all the email straight to trash and forwarding it to themselves. So the bad guy, for however many days, months, or years, has all the email has been going to somebody else. Now, whether it's been going to somebody else and staying in the inbox, I don't know. But what kind of got them to even look at this was the fact that the email was starting to be sent to trash. So none of the email was actually hitting the inbox; it was going straight to trash. So that happened a few weeks ago. So yesterday, I get a phone call from the outsourced practice management firm that's shutting them down or helping them through the process. And she says, you sent me an invoice from your old company name and it's for $12,000 for 2 servers. And I don't understand. We've had all these conversations in the past few weeks and you've not mentioned this. Why are you sending me this invoice? And I'm like, not me, not sending you invoice. No, don't even operate under that old business name anymore. So apparently what's happened, somebody, I'm assuming, went through their emails, saw that my old company was sending them invoices and decided to create their own invoice. All the information is probably accurate, except for the pay button probably goes to somebody else's bank account. And they're likely to get a lot more invoices from other vendors as well.
Well, and you hope that the invoice attachment, because you know there was one, wasn't infected on top of things.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes. So anyway, there's a lot of information
talking about that next week.
Yeah, a lot of information we can pull from that. Number one is the person in charge, the doctor. Privacy and security starts from the top, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's move on.
It was a Yahoo account. That's the part that drives me crazy.
Yes, Yahoo had a breach. 3 billion people credentials got breached. And I'm sure that this person's email credentials were not changed. So privacy and security is just so inconvenient. So, yeah, I mean, I don't even know the fallout that this can possibly be. I'm almost like, don't tell me anything. La, 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 la. Don't even get me involved anymore at this point. just go away.
Yeah. So, yeah, there you go. There's another example. And here's another example that we're going to say, I heard about.
Wink, wink, nod, nod.
That's right. Yeah, you know who you are when you hear this. That's what I'm saying. There's a cool feature in email clients like Outlook and Gmail, the web clients, whatever. And when you start typing a name, then it fills it in. It gives you suggestions.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great. And if you have it automatically create contacts for everybody that emails you, then it'll start creating ones when you just get an email from somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Say from a hacked Yahoo account.
No, mine does create a contact if I send them an email, but not get an email.
Right, but that the problem is that in those lists, particularly, people will often start typing, and there's that convenience that I just have to type a few letters, but we already know about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's so convenient, it's not secure. Because once you get one in there that you don't want, then there you are. That's what you're going to start getting. And so my example, which got David to sing as soon as he read it, you send a message to John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt at hisnameismyname.com. There you go. We had to, our hokiness. But
I'm going to try that and see if anybody responds.
But that's all it takes, because now that name is going to be in your list, and anytime you type John, then that one will show up. And if it's at the top, Then you hit enter, it fills in John, and hopefully you would notice one that long, but let's say you don't, because most of them you don't. And so let's say that you've got encrypted email and you need to send PHI to John because it's somebody you work with named John Doe. And you go to send that and you inadvertently select John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
They got a problem.
Because it pops up and now you've sent PHI to the wrong individual, somebody that has no business having it, even though you've got encrypted parts of it. On the other end, it's not encrypted, and now you've got a problem.
Well,
Yeah.
now somebody's in your breeches.
Stay out of my breeches. So, I still wear that shirt around, and people still laugh behind you, and you're like, hopefully they're laughing at my shirt. So, there's another vendor made one that said, "What's up, breeches?" And I like that one too. But the easiest way to avoid this, of course, is to turn it off. There's a lot of ways you can go about it, but it's not convenient, we know, but it's also not secure.
Right.
You've got to look at it because we actually had somebody do that. They sent PHI to the wrong place. What that means is now you have to evaluate it and process it as if it could be a potential data breach, and you may have to notify patients. So imagine they send a spreadsheet with 1,000 patients.
Big mess.
Or 500 patients, just over the top.
Yeah. Make sure your spreadsheets are always broken down by 499 patients at a time.
Is it? And there's story after story of all of this because Verizon they did fact sheets about stuff on credential theft, and the story that they were telling among many others, little snippet was it talks about that an email campaign, a phishing campaign, prompted dozens of unsuspecting employees in one company to give out their login information. And then the self-service payroll accounts of all those individuals was accessed and the direct deposit information changed to the hackers' email. Well, the phishers. They didn't really have to do anything. They're just phishing them, and, they got a big chunk of paycheck.
Nice.
And we've talked about what they maybe spent $1,000 and then they got a dozen people to fall for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last thing we're going to talk about, it was a very sad thing. There is a service called VF Email, and it started because of the viruses spreading in the early 2000s to try to be a secure email service. And the owner, the guy that started it, who saw it as his passion project, starts tweeting this week that it's gone. It's all gone. That he's watching hackers wipe everything clean. His servers, his backups, everything. And he can't figure out how they're in there. He can't figure out how to stop them. He's not even sure how this is happening. Now, they may have learned more since then, but this is like a real time happened just in the last couple of days. It deleted everything.
Yep.
Gone. Just gone. And they supposedly brought it back up, the service, but all the history, gone. Just gone. 18 years worth of stuff.
Wow. And
I'm sure there's some other backup somewhere, but they've said don't expect it all to come back to the people that there. And you could tell that the guy was despondent in his Twitter account as he's reading it. He was just,
he's like, we're closed. We're closed. We're gone. We're not coming back from this. Wow.
He was like you, in the fetal position, sucking his thumb and saying, "Mommy, make it better." So, needless to say, there's a lot of reasons that you should worry about email every day.
All right. So I guess I'm going to stop using email today.
I'll email you to remind you not to use email.
Yeah, send it from my spam account. But yeah, I mean, email is something, especially in business. I mean, you're not going to get away from it. It's there. I don't think it's going to go anywhere anytime soon. So you have to be diligent in how you're using it. Don't be fooled by having security tools on top of it, because there's still a high likelihood you're going to do something wrong if you're not diligent in how you use your email.
The pit is still there. Always know the pit is there.
It reminds me of the old game I used to play, Pitfall. You know, little dude run through the jungle, swinging over the alligator pits and the snake pits.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The early days of video games.
I know. So awesome.
I love those.
All right, folks. That is our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember, share us out on social media or any other sites. Matter of fact, I mean, Facebook is sharing everything anyway. So why not go there? Make sure you rate us on the podcasting app. Keep spreading the word. We always appreciate it. Make sure you send any questions or ideas to us at contact@helpmewithhippa.com. Remember, the boot camp's coming up. If you're going to get in there, you need to take advantage of it quickly. And you can find out more information at thehippabootcamp.com. So for Donna and myself, remember that HIPAA is not about compliance. It's about patient care.
You've been listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, hosted by Donna Grindle and David Sims. The show created to help you with HIPAA. For more information or to ask us a question, visit our website at helpmewithhipaa.com. Neither Donna Grindle or David Sims are attorneys, and they do not offer binding legal advice concerning regulatory compliance. The information in this podcast should not be relied upon or construed as legal advice in any way. Consult your attorney for legal advice concerning compliance with HIPAA regulations.